If your friends haven't told you, McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets are back. The ones made with spicy tempura and aged cayenne. But before you go telling friends, make sure you get them first. Order ahead on the McDonald's app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Colour Trend is inspired by the elusive colours of the Irish landscape. Simple and mysterious, everyday and precious. From the hues of Ireland's earth, sky and waters to its wild flora and native fauna, we put Ireland in paint. High-performance paints, using only the best ingredients, making it your perfect household paint. Find your perfect colour with Colour Trend. Infinite colour from Ireland.
It's time to make the move to a whole new world of Wi-Fi. Switch to Virgin Media to experience Wi-Fi at its smartest and get superfast broadband with Mix TV for €59 a month for 12 months and €89 a month thereafter. Smart Wi-Fi from Virgin Media. It takes care of your Wi-Fi so you don't have to.
Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. 12-month contract. Offer ends 31st of July 2019.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asmacor Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 280. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
If you're looking for a lighthearted show, this ain't going to be it.
No.
We'll see you next week if you're looking for the lighthearted fare.
Well, let's start with the joke then. What did Alabama say to Georgia?
Hold my beer.
Oh, exactly.
I was going to say, in 5 years, hold all our inbred babies. But, you know, it's Alabama leading the way back to the 10s?
Since there was a total ban on abortion, is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, just taking us back, like, well, it'd be, I was trying to say taking us back 100 years. But, yeah. Essentially.
I follow you. Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous and barbaric and completely against what I thought was already settled law. Even Supreme Court justices, conservative Supreme Court justices, say is settled law.
Well, apparently, Jesus got other ideas. So, because from the articles I've read and the stories I've listened to, this is basically being put, the whole bill that Alabama passed was being pushed by a pastor, essentially to get it in front of the Supreme Court as a, what did you call it in the pre-show, Chris? A Hail Mary kind of? Like a hope that they'll strike it, or not strike it down, but uphold it?
It was Aaron, but yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah,
maybe I should smoke more weed. Jesus, okay.
Yeah. Well, but as I was saying to you guys when we were talking about that, I wish him luck because Kavanaugh and I think Johnson went on record as saying, and it was this year, it wasn't like, years ago, that you don't fuck with the precedent that the Supreme Court has set. So I don't think it would be as much of a slam dunk as this gentleman hopes it's going to be.
Yeah, but, what you consider precedents can change. Yeah. When people can rewrite history, I'm sure they can figure out some kind of mental gymnastics in order to get around contradicting themselves and still upholding possibly Alabama's barbaric abortion law. But this seems almost designed to be fast-tracked to be in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what he said. He admitted that.
That was his intention. Yeah, because Well, I mean, first of all, he gets a lot of props for, actually, spearheading this, right? I'm sure there's a lot of personal gain for him and his church when it comes to, being the one on the forefront of this abortion issue. But outside of that, I think the plan is to just see how many bills you can get, or how many cases, I should say, you can get in front of the Supreme Court and challenge the idea of Roe v. Wade and look for cracks in the armor, and if a conservative judge is not pro-choice but is still wanting to uphold Roe v. Wade, he might lay out a course for that to happen in a dissenting opinion of some sort.
I don't see this getting past the state Supreme Courts personally. As much as I don't have faith in the system, I have faith in the way it's set up. I mean, and we've seen it happen several times with Trump, where he'll try to do something crazy, and a state Supreme Court will step in and go, yeah, no.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I believe it's on hold because it was immediately challenged.
Of course. Because it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Like, especially the part about rape and incest.
Yeah. They're trying to. He was this pastor, and I'm not going to learn his shitty fucking name. So anybody going, why do you prefer him as pastor? Because I'm not going to learn his fucking name and give him any more fucking free publicity. Fuck him. You got Google if you want to know this asshole's name. He in the interview that I heard on NPR, he was trying to frame this as a health issue. Is that an abortion is a procedure that has risk to it. Not, take away the fact that you're
so is a tonsillectomy, fuckface. So is having your wisdom teeth out.
Yes, exactly. But he's like, besides the fact that you're killing a baby, the mother may die. So it should only be in the most extreme cases, et cetera, et cetera. And they said, okay, well, what about the fact that you have, in this bill, you want to send doctors who perform abortions to jail for 99 years, yet you take a softer stance on the women who are having abortions. And the guy rightfully called him out and said, is that a political move because you don't want to, come off as anti-woman? And he's like, no, I think we're going after the criminal. The woman is the victim here. And I was like, wow, this guy, I hope he did a lot of stretching before he did the mental gymnastics, because he probably pulled something. So I've heard abortion framed many ways by pro-birth people. Never as packs of roving abortion doctors looking for pregnant women to victimize by forcing abortion on.
Yeah, the extreme reaction on both sides to me has been ridiculous. Like guys like this guy, they're not going to start kicking in doors and scraping uteruses, all right? It's been fine since 1973. Why are we sounding the alarm on this now?
No, but this guy being anti-abortion and framing women as the victims, that's a new one on me.
Victims of who? That would be my first question.
I thought victims of the doctors. That's what he's saying, because the question was asked, why be harsher on doctors than on the mothers who are aborting their fetuses? I shouldn't even call them mothers because they're not having a child.
Yeah, exactly.
The women who are aborting their fetuses. And now he's trying to claim that it's because the women are the victim in the scenario.
The women make the choice to go get it. How are they the victim?
It's because, and I cannot remember who was interviewing him for NPR.
I agree with you,
but he was rightfully trying to get the guy to basically say, you're going after the doctors whole hog with this draconian, 99 years if they perform an abortion. Why aren't you going after the women that hard? It's all political maneuvering. Because if you went after women that hard, then the women who are like, this isn't about the child's life, this is about controlling and punishing women, would be right. You see what I'm saying? He's trying to have his cake and eat it too.
He's trying to soften the stance on abortion, because the first thing he said was that this is about the health of the woman, right? That these are not healthy procedures, not recommended for fetuses or mothers, women.
Oh, but by the way, if it threatens the health of the woman, then it's okay, which totally shits on his whole point.
But she has to be, like, it has to be, and they...
I don't know, it doesn't shit on his point. That's still, his point still holds, because what you do in medical situations is many times what's going to cause the least amount of harm.
And he did say, or they did point out that it's not like, the woman's life has to be in imminent danger for there to be an abortion, basically, is what they were saying. Like, if they don't abort this baby, the baby and the mother will die. And I'm going to go ahead and take a wild, just reckless speculation on my part, guess that the percentage of times that happens is probably smaller than the percentage of late-term or partial birth abortions.
Yeah, because
which is almost never.
I mean, most of the time isn't when a woman's life is threatened. Generally, during the actual birth.
Yeah.
As far as percentages,
but that's a different situation.
I guess my point is, it is going on what Rich is saying. There's probably a very low percentage of things that you can detect in utero that's going to threaten the mother's life. Like, most of the time, the mother's life won't be threatened until the birth actually happens.
Well, like I said, to me it sounds like he's trying to have his political cake and eat it too.
So what you're describing is complications from pregnancy, and I don't think that's necessarily what they're looking at. I think it's more having, if you have a disease like, if you're anemic, or your blood doesn't clot right, the doctor might not recommend a pregnancy for you because they might have to cut your pussy open wider.
It's a medical term, folks.
That's what they do. They cut the hole open wider so they can get the baby out. Yeah. Or, some sort of complication that could cause some sort of bleeding. And, that. So I think it's more about, the mother might have a medical condition or something that would be likely to exacerbate possible complications from pregnancy. So not the complications from pregnancy in and of themselves. I think, because, again, that's something that happens towards the end of the line. When you're past the abortion phase anyway, and unless you're talking about really extreme circumstances. But yeah, I mean, in all, we are talking about the minority of births, the minority of pregnancies, the minority of instances of abortion.
Well,
that being said, with the way that our healthcare is structured, even though you would think that the U.S. would be one of the top places to give birth to a child, it's amazingly not the safest place for expecting mothers. I mean, anybody who can, is in a hospital, probably no problem, but not having health insurance causes people to do things like try and have their kid at home. And then when shit does go down, they don't have doctors available to help save the life of the mother or the child.
Well, if there's one thing that television has taught me in my 42 years, all you need to birth a baby is some hot water and towels.
Yes, I was going to say, blow some water and get some towels.
That's it. You don't need nothing else.
That is an actual tactic that I think that doctors used, but in order to keep the males busy so they wouldn't freak out and keep out of the way. No, honestly, it was busy work to have somebody, the other people around that were unnecessary, go do and feel like they were helping.
Yeah, because the only thing I could ever come up with that the boiling water was for sterilization. Other than that, what are you going to make soup?
Right. But yet sterilizing what? You're birthing at home. Like, you're going to dip your hands into the boiling water?
Yeah.
All right, when I bring the baby out, you whip these rats into some rat tails and give them a couple snaps on the bottom.
When the baby comes out, we dip it in hot water, see? Cleans it off.
Boiling water, yeah. It removes all the junk and afterbirth and shit on it. Yeah, there you go. Well, I think one of the scariest parts of the story that I heard on, this was a BBC report. They sent a reporter over here to Alabama to talk to random people, get their feelings about it, and it was a random Alabamian. And she's sitting there talking, and she goes, well, mother, she's had her chance. And she goes, the reporter goes, well, what if she was raped? well, she had her chance, and I'm sorry if a 16-year-old gets raped, but, she had her chance to do what she wanted to do with her life. Why should the child not have a chance to do what it wants to do with its life? And I'm like,
that would be my ultimate argument for God and public policy. There you go, folks. That's the attitude it breeds.
Okay, but once again, what the fuck does that answer have to do with that question?
You can't hear the religious overtones in that?
But I'll defend her. Because the difference that we're having is not about whether a child deserves life, right? It's about what makes a child. That's the only difference that we're having. Until you overcome that, the idea that she's supporting laws that she feels like are supporting the lives of children. She's doing exactly what she should be doing given her beliefs. And what I think, if any reasonable adult believed that, what they would do, they would support the not killing of kids. It's just that we are fundamentally arguing over what actually makes a person.
I'm with Roe v. Wade. When you can survive outside the womb, you're a person. Done. When you can hit oxygen and live, you are a person. Yep. The end.
And you are still among the majority of people.
I think science pretty much, nails that coffin shut. But that's one of the beautiful things the BBC report did. It did go into, I think it was like 68% of Americans do support Roe v. Wade as it is. But then they were like, they pointed out that the pro-birth people, they tend to look at, well, they'll look at how many Americans support late-term abortion. And that number's, that shrinks way down from 16%.
No, because it's not a thing.
Exactly, Aaron, exactly. You are being manipulated by people who know better.
Yeah.
They are half-truths and bullshit and lies of omission they are telling you. And if you lap it up, I'm sorry. That's on you at that point. I can't help you if you fall for that bullshit.
On the issue of how many cells does it take to make a person, if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, my sea monkeys are applying for citizenship immediately.
There you go.
Because those are fully, you can't claim that they're not human just because they were born cellularly deficient.
And then next year, you can file 1,000 dependents on your taxes.
They are CDAs and they are protected class, and I demand that they get Social Security.
Yeah, so you can write them off. Yeah, I got 1,000 dependents. They stay in my bedroom, right in this jar.
Hold on,
a week later, I'm doing life in prison for murder because all my sea monkeys died.
You left them in the sun.
Well, that Texas anti-masturbation bill, as we laughed at it when we first brought it up, it's taken the next step to becoming law.
Every sperm is sacred.
And if that's the case, then
I could never go to Texas.
Then Chris, Aaron, let's see, Chris. No, I probably jerk off the most. So I'm like, who's got the biggest body count? Stalin, like 100 million. Okay, so I'm Stalin. Chris, you're married, so you still, and you're newly married. You got a while to catch up to me and Aaron.
Yeah, but with the sex strike.
Oh, and by the way, can I just point out something? I understand the sentiment, and I appreciate the tenacity of the sentiment, but saying you're going to have a sex strike to punish people who preach abstinence and sex only in marriage.
Yeah, you've given them a win.
Did you not think this one through all the way? Really? Who are you affecting? Do you really think that married Christians are lining up to have abortions left and right? Let's be honest here. You're trying to prove a point to a certain group of people who are like, good, don't have sex. You're not married, you shouldn't have sex. It's a sin.
Well, that's hardly the biggest flaw in the logic, I think.
It's just a flaw. I'm just pointing it out.
Savaged.
Right. I agree with you that it's not going to affect the people who are responsible for pushing this bill through because, first of all, if their wives refused them sex, then they'd probably just get raped. And also, it's probably just not happening.
Or if they're married, they just roll over.
Right. And also, it reinforces the stereotype that only men get pleasure out of sex and that women are only doing it to please the man.
Yeah, she was getting savaged by people that were saying women enjoy sex too, and stop treating men like, they are the, they are the consumers and we are the, I forget the language.
The product.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. You can't have this. I know you want this. Well, you want it too. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's called biology.
Just the whole thing is.
I thought you liked me for me, but apparently I only get laid when the political wind blows the right direction.
See, here's one of those things. Like I think I said, I appreciate I respect the thought behind it, but how is you feel your rights are being violated? And I agree with them. Their rights are being violated.
Yes, they are being, yes.
Okay, so let's start passing laws or enacting voluntary, sex embargoes to punish the other gender. How is that going to help you get your rights? I mean, that's like, okay, so I get beat up by the cops, so you should get beat up by the cops. Until everybody's getting their ass whooped by the cops, now we're all equally fucking worthless in the eyes of the cops. Boy, I'm a social justice warrior. I've brought justice to everybody.
No, because
is that really justice?
It's a point you've made a million times. It's not about solving the problem. It's about winning.
Well, would you support a bill that said that the fathers of an aborted fetus would be punished in some way?
No, because by law, if they had some say-so in abortion...
No, I'm not talking about what the law is currently, but if we were to write that into a law, would you be in support of it?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. They have no say-so in abortion. Mm-hmm. They can't stop it. They can't force it. They can't. All they can do is basically go, it's out of my fucking hands. I mean, that's the way the law is for abortion right now. Right or wrong, let's not deal with what should be or what we want it to be. Let's just deal with what it is. The minute a woman goes, oh shit, I'm pregnant, you're useless until that baby pops out, and the state wants to fucking put your name on a birth certificate. That way they know who to go after if she goes to the friend of the court. That's it. You are an afterthought. You have no rights whatsoever.
What is hilarious is my extremely liberal wife is not down with that. She's like, why is it just a woman's decision? It takes two of you to get pregnant. How come the guy doesn't have any say in whether or not he wants to keep the baby or get rid of it?
And see, here's where it may shock some people, but I tend to agree with a lot more of the hardline feminists on this. Okay, you want the baby? You carry it for 9 months. Oh, you can't?
Well,
that's not our problem. That's not our fault.
I understand that. That's, take it up with the fucking maker or Mother Nature. That's who your beef's with. But the reality of the situation is it legally, is it morally right for a man to say you have to carry this child because I want it and you don't? I mean,
it's not something that it's like playing a game of tic-tac-toe, right? Like because you can't say like if both parties want the child, then you have the child, right? That's given and doesn't even involve the law, right? And then if both parties want to abort the child, then you abort the child if it's legal in your state. But then when you have a standoff, like, then what do? Then the child always lives? Or the fetus always grows to be a child, I should say.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine the shitstorm that happens. So, if a state does pass a law that says that, and then the child does go to the father, 3-4 years down the line, the mother decides, wait a minute, I want something to do with my child's life, even though I signed away my rights. I mean, that's going to open a legal can of worms that is just going to be a clusterfuck. The fuckery that's going to come from that is, to me, it's not even worth going down that road. Look, it's an imperfect solution to a problem, and that's the best we can do at this point in time. I don't know any other way to put it. Life's not fair, guys, okay?
No, I think you've nailed it though, because I wasn't sure where I would stand on that issue either, but I'm with you now, Rich, because first of all, if you're going to enact some sort of punishment on a party, then you have to give them some say in these decisions as well, right? You can't just say that you have no say in whether the fetus gets aborted, and then it does, and then the police are knocking on your door. That's not justice, right? And then if you do want to give them a say, you just end up with you don't solve anything by actually giving the man a say, right? The fetuses that were to get aborted, and the fetuses that had come to term, because both parties agree, they would do that anyway. But then you just have the stalemate. So there's actually no advantage to having male input other than the obvious sperm in this decision.
Yeah, because nothing is permanent. Even you go into marriage, even if you take the most conservative wedding vows, like, ones from 70 years ago, where it's like the wife, promises to obey the man, and this is till death do us part. All that shit means absolutely nothing when one of them goes to file for divorce. You might as well have been up there promising her the stars and the moon. It doesn't and vice versa. It doesn't matter.
I'm not following you though now.
What I'm saying is that, God damn it. You said I'm not following you. Now I'm like, God damn it. No, I fucking fell off the track. Forget it. My bad. Sorry.
All right. That's all good.
What I'm saying is, marriage is a contract, right? And you can break that contract via divorce. Okay.
But how? But
so how
this ties into abortion?
Even if there was like an agreement, like, okay, well, I guess I already made that point. Even if there is, basically what I'm saying is, even if there's an agreement of, okay, I'll carry this child, I'll relinquish rights to the father when the child's born, the mother has 9 months to change her mind. You know what I'm saying? It's a contract, and the contract can be broken. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Whatever. I'm sorry, my bad. Go on.
Right. No, I follow you. It's just that it would have to be written into the law with it. If we had the same possibility for punishment, we would have the same opportunity to protect ourselves.
Yeah, even if well. Yeah, and what I was really getting at was that even if you're married, okay, and when you're married, you take on the other person's debt, et cetera, all that. If you wake up one morning, kiss your wife goodbye, go to work, say fuck it, I'm not going to work today, and go rob a bank, they don't throw her in jail with you, not unless you conspired with her. But if you went and did it just on your own, she doesn't pay the price because she's married to you. And I mean, that seems like...
Yeah, but in the case of pregnancy, both parties robbed the bank.
It's got you there.
In reality, yes. According to the law, as it's written right now, no. According to the law, it's her choice until the baby's born.
Right.
So, I mean, that once again, and I'm not a big fan of, like, let's make even more convoluted bullshit laws.
Well, according to some laws,
well,
it's
some
your choice until the baby's born.
Well, as long as you're not in Alabama, or what is it, Kentucky, Ohio, and like a couple other states,
Georgia.
Jesus. By the way, the whole thing on so no incest. Okay, is that really a good idea in these states? I mean, every stereotype has a grain of truth to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are states where like second cousins and shit. Some of them, you can get married in. Is it really a good idea to be like, in cases of incest, no, you can't abort the baby? Really? We really need to populate these states with these poor kids that are fucking, like some Game of Thrones shit, like their father knocked up the daughter, and now that the daughter's got to raise her sister/child,
Yeah.
I mean,
this goes back to my argument of if you believe that you're protecting the lives of children, then you should be doing whatever you can to prevent it from happening. The problem with this, though, is that it's with the extremists on these issues, they're never going to be convinced to find a middle ground on what's a reasonable spot to, in development of a fetus, to call it a viable human.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not really about the fetus itself. The idea is punishment for the act of sex itself. The fetus is evidence of the sin of having, premarital sex. And that's what they intend to punish. Whether it's through, jailing a mother who aborts the quote-unquote evidence of that sin, or whether it's making this woman have this child that she didn't intend to. Which is a horrible way to think about raising children, but hey, that's religion for you.
Well, I think this issue is like guns, right? Your mind's made up. You're not convincing. You're not coaxing anybody over from the other side. You're on one side or the other on this.
Yeah, and like guns, it never. You can have your mind changed, but it's only when you have to have an abortion, or somebody close to you does, or somebody points a gun in your face, or somebody is shot. Those are the only times that people on the extremes of these issues actually change their mind, when it literally affects their lives.
And, I'm glad you said that, because this last week, give or take, I've really tried my best to put myself in the mindset of a woman who is in a desperate situation, whether it be just because she can't really afford a kid, her situation is completely fucked, whatever it is. It was, she was raped and now she's pregnant. What it would take for me to decide abortion is best. And I mean, at no point when I was sitting there trying to put myself in that mindset and empathize with a woman in that situation, did I ever say, oh, there's easy answers here. I'll just have an abortion. Like, it's, I don't know. None of us will ever know the bond a mother and a child have, because we can't carry children. As much as hard as I am on women on a lot of shit, I've never ever fucking said, there's no special bond between a mother and a child. You carried that person inside of you for 9 months. There's a big difference between that and, hey, give me your hand, the kid's kicking. That's about all the dad can really, experience as far as that goes. And it's just, these people that think it's like, oh, well, we can just make hard and fast black and white rules because this is just a simple decision. I really feel that they think that these women just wake up one day and go, I'm just going to kill my kid. Fuck it, I don't care.
Like, it's the easiest decision in the world to do.
I know people that take 10 minutes to decide what toppings they want on their pizza.
Yeah.
I'd like to think they take a longer bit of time to think about whether they're going to have an abortion or not.
I'm sure there are women who give no fucks about it, that never want to have kids and have no qualms over getting an abortion. But that's far from the majority. And the majority of people that want to get an abortion want to do so because they want to have a kid when it's with the right person, when it's in the right situation. They don't want to introduce a kid into chaos.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for abortion. I was the idiot who, when I was younger, was trying to convince a girl not to abort the kid because I thought, raising a kid with her would settle her down.
Oh, God.
And my God, I am thankful every day that fetus was aborted.
Yeah,
because that child would have been born into a fucking nightmare. And I don't know that his mother, his or her, fictional mother would have been around for him.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a case of someone, whether they were conscious of it or not, like, did some, like, Matrix Neo dodging a bullet type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand where you're coming from when you're younger, because I've had friends that said, when we were in high school, right out of high school, their girlfriends are pregnant, and, it's one of those relationships where they're constantly cheating on each other, breaking up, getting back together, and they go, well, this will make us stay together. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Those are the worst pregnancies to come to try and bring to term.
I mean, you guys can't decide where to go to eat without damn near coming to blows. Now try to raise a child. How the fuck is that going to happen?
I mean, I had a situation in my life. All of our friends were having babies. Me and my girlfriend, she's like, let's have a baby. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I live with my bass player because I can't afford to live on my own. Your bills are all paid by your mom and your grandparents. I make a cool $35,000 a year. You work part-time at Chipotle. Yeah, let's have a baby. Great idea.
Yeah, let's get a cat. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll start with a house plant. If it's alive in a year, we'll get a cat. If that's alive in a year, then we'll get a dog. You know, like let's work our way up here.
I mean, and it's paint me with any brush you want, but I've always been a proponent of you should not have a child if you are not if you're not ready for it financially and emotionally. It's irresponsible to do that. It's selfish and it is not good for the kid. You're just, like you said, Aaron, you are introducing the kid into chaos. You can't figure your own life out yet. Don't bring someone else down with you.
Yeah.
And then too, Rich, you kind of started touching on it. The ludicrousness of the people that are saying, like, people use abortion as birth control. Are you out of your mind?
I know. It's total anecdotal evidence, but I grew up with a girl who, from the first time I met her when she was in high school to this day, has said, and she's now, I think she might be 40 now, and I don't want kids. She's like, I had two shitty parents. I had a shitty family. I don't think I have the skill set to raise a child properly, and I'm not willing to roll the dice and fuck up a human being's life on a maybe. And she got pregnant when she was young. She had the abortion. She's never even had a scare since then. Why? Because she had the abortion and said, never again, and took every precaution she needed to take to not get pregnant again. I think that's a lot more common of an outcome than, oh, I'm just going to use it as birth control. I think it's more likely guys who are psychopaths who get in relationships and totally dominate and control a woman would look at abortion as birth control. Just because, the pussy's so good, I ain't pulling out. I mean,
birth control, buddy.
I've got a few friends who, I mean, if all the babies that they're the girls that they've knocked up, and they talked them into abortion, stood up, they'd have a hell of a child support problem. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, seriously, can you even pull out of a driveway? What the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, at a certain point, pull out and put it in a warm cloth. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. And it's just scary. It's scary because I think that's a more likely situation. And what that is that's someone who is preying upon someone who's a weaker person or in a bad mindset. And yeah, we're going back to, should the father pay a price in that situation? Guys like that, I know legally it's almost impossible, but I feel like, yeah, there should be something there. I mean, because if a woman has an abortion when she's younger, decides never again, takes all the precautions, and the man goes, well, I don't want kids either, and he gets a woman pregnant, and she has an abortion, but then he keeps repeating the same thing with other women, well, obviously you didn't learn your fucking lesson and you don't care enough. And there's something wrong with that dude. At least that's the way I look at it. Like that's a level of just insensitivity and not caring about another human being to the point where you're going to put them in this predicament just because I had to get my nut. And that's inexcusable in my book.
Remember that episode of SVU with John Stamos? When he's the reproductive abuser?
Oh, yeah, where he would. How many kids did he have? 20-some kids in that episode? Yeah. And I love them all. You can't even name them all. The fuck? So, Chris, you don't think it's getting past the state Supreme Court?
And then, too, the ACLU is already, they filed suit against Alabama, Ohio, Georgia. I mean, I think there's so many stopgaps. I don't think it even makes it to SCOTUS, personally.
And I hope, Aaron,
it's a possibility, but
I hope you're right, Aaron, if it does make it to the Supreme Court, that those judges say, Chris, those judges say, there's a precedent for a reason, and we're not going to fuck with the Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. Get out of our face with this nonsense. Later for you.
And I had this thought earlier today. Didn't we try to do this in the early 90s, too? Didn't they try to overturn Roe v. Wade? And the Supreme Court went, no.
Well, there's been constant challenges to it.
I seem to remember, like in middle school, this whole thing going on, too.
And you know what's really shocking, and I'm glad I'm starting to see this, because to me this is people who are actually taking into consideration other people and having empathy and compassion for the situation they're in. I'm seeing a lot of people go, just because I support a woman's right to choose whether to have an abortion or not doesn't mean I'm pro-abortion. Doesn't mean I would have an abortion.
Yeah,
but it just means that I don't have a right to tell you what to do with your own fucking body. And I mean, maybe that's that, civil libertarian in me coming out where it's like, yeah, your body is the only thing you own from birth to death. You should be able to do with it as you fucking please, as long as you're not using it to harm another person.
And then, too, I'm kind of paraphrasing Bill Hicks' quote on burning the flag. Just because abortion is legal doesn't mean you have to have one.
Yeah, exactly. Against abortion, don't have one. Pretty simple.
Yeah. Against gay marriage, don't marry someone of the same sex. You don't have to.
Well, we all know there's roving bands of gays grabbing people, pulling them into Unitarian churches and marrying them. Oh, Christ. By the way, the whole I did have to say this because it sprang to mind when I heard the pastor during the interview, and he made it sound like there's roving bands of abortion doctors looking for pregnant women too.
Yeah, they're just kicking indoors and scraping uteruses.
It reminded me it reminds me of the lie we were all told during the Just Say No era, where they'll hold you down and inject you with heroin to get you addicted.
No, they're not. That's profit margin, buddy.
Like, these are situations that never happen. Or if they do, it is 0.0001% of the population it ever happens to.
Yeah, by the way, I've never been given free drugs ever. All we heard in the Just Say No era was, they'll give you the first one for free.
Wait, never?
Oh, yeah. Come on now.
Not once.
And you never paid
for drugs.
Not once. No, I never. All the guys I knew, the first taste cost me. All right?
Man, I've been at parties, and after about 3 pills of ecstasy, all of a sudden the ecstasy dealer gets feeling awful good, and he'll be like, here, take another one. Like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Or the guy with the fucking tank in the corner is like, have a balloon on the house. I like things that go, whoa, 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 whoa. Sure, yeah, But I mean, it's not like it happens like, hi, you go up to the guy in the corner, are you a drug dealer? Why, yes, I am, and the first one's free. Here you go.
Yeah. The first bag of weed I bought, I had to pay for. All right?
And it was probably Detroit ditch weed.
Yeah.
Bricked up and shit.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Good price, but the APR...
0.
The deposit, though,
0.
I understand, but...
0.
Okay, it's an incredible deal. Just please stop doing that.
Okay. 0. The 192 Renault range. 0% APR, 0 deposit, 0 catches. Visit the Renault Runway Sales Event from the 23rd to the 25th of May at your local dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply, subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
It's time to make the move to a whole new world of Wi-Fi. Switch to Virgin Media to experience Wi-Fi at its smartest and get superfast broadband with Mix TV for €59 a month for 12 months and €89 a month thereafter. Smart Wi-Fi from Virgin Media. It takes care of your Wi-Fi so you don't have to.
Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. 12-month contract. Offer ends 31st of July 2019.
Knockenstock in 2019. This July 19th, 20th and 21st, Ireland's most picturesque festival is back to the breathtaking shores of the Blessing Lakes. Enjoy your weekend camping by the lake, boutique camping, in your camper or in our family area. Delighting with delicious and Epicurean food stalls, artisanal coffee, bustling bars and traders. Theatre, poetry, dance, spoken word and a celebration of art in all its forms. There will be music, acts and experience you won't get anywhere else. Like Happy Alone, Mango and Mathman, Jealous of the Birds, Joshua Burnside, Keen Kavanagh, The Scratch, Ye Vagabonds, Junior Brother, Just Mustard and many more. Weekend tickets are $155 from knockenstockin.ie.
This May, see Disney's Aladdin on the big screen.
Showtime.
Take a ride, make a wish, and feel the magic like never before. Starring Will Smith as the genie.
Here's the basics. Step 1, rub the lamp. Step 2, say what you want. Step 3, there is no step 3.
Watch out! You done wound me up. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Disney's Aladdin, in cinemas May 22nd.
And the crowd goes wild.
IFCO PG.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, all right, Jesus Christ. We opened the show with abortion. There we go. Can we get darker than that?
War?
Yeah. There you go.
How do you feel about a war with Iran? Because that might be on the horizon.
I don't care. Because you know why? Because
this is a speed round then. Next.
No, just like they're part of the people that get sold our outdated weapons. Oh, here you go. We don't need these anymore. We got better shit. Like, that's my mindset, really. Like, okay, cool. It'd be another distraction, and we'll still have all the best shit.
First of all, war should be a very last resort. Are we at that point with Iran?
Oh, are you asking?
I'm asking your opinions.
I didn't think we were till this week.
I mean, there's no other solution. We have to go in and start a war.
Here's what I can tell you. The president's advisors, including John Bolton, have been telling Trump that, there's moves that Iran is making, and mostly they're pointing towards Syria, their support of tamping down the rebels in Syria, as aggressive moves towards America, and that it's time to step in and respond in kind. And last week, Trump was kind of ambiguous about it, I guess. He was asked if it's true that, X amount of hundreds of thousands of troops, something like that, were going to be sent in. I think maybe 120,000 troops. And he said, no, that wasn't true, but if he was sending troops in, it would be a lot more than that. But this week, he's kind of backing off that and saying that he's not really listening to his advisors on this and doesn't think it's time to go to war.
Shocking. He doesn't listen to his advisors. Who'd have thought?
Well, this is probably just more of Trump testing the waters publicly, seeing does support for war up his approval numbers or not?
There's a reason to go to war. I'm gonna get a bump in my approval rating. There we go. That's a reason to go to war.
But but Daddy Bush proved no, because his approval ratings went up during the war, but he lost the election because the economy was in shitty shape.
Right.
So he should probably wait till April next year if he wants to start this war. Wait till 6 months before the election if that's your goal.
Well, I think if you start shit now, it's still going to be going by 2020 election.
Well, if there's anything we've learned from Iraq and Afghanistan, I would hope, if there's anything we've learned from that, is that you don't go to war with countries in that area of the world and think you're going to get in and out in a couple months. Okay? It's not.
It's just so funny hearing you say that, like you hope that we learned a lesson from that.
I know.
It was the same situation as Vietnam and Korea.
Yeah, but Korea lasted 3 years. Vietnam, you figure they'd have been like, Vietnam seems like it did the opposite. Korea, they were like 3 years. They're like, okay, this is stale. Okay, draw, we're out. Just everybody go home. And Vietnam was like, no, we're going to stick to it no matter what. We don't care.
I can also tell you what Nancy Pelosi had to say about this. Quote, the responsibility in the Constitution is for Congress to declare war. So I hope that the president's advisors recognize they have no authorization to go forward in any way.
I love how people cling to the Constitution when it suits them.
Nancy, you've been around for the last 50 years. When's the last time you remember Congress voting on shit like this? How many wars have we been involved in that Congress hasn't had a say on?
Well, that's when they just call them policing actions, and you take Congress out of the equation.
Exactly.
Which was what technically Vietnam was. I think decades later, it was finally retconned to where they called it an actual war. But at the time, and for at least the first couple, 10, 15 years afterwards, it was a policing action.
Yeah, was it called the Vietnam conflict?
Conflict, yes, exactly. Exactly. So, Jesus. I mean, the people, you know what? Okay, if John Bolton is so convinced that we need to go to war, put that motherfucker in some BDUs, strap him up with a fucking rucksack, and send him to the front lines. Go ahead, tough guy, win the war for us. I'm really sick of these fuckers who are so many degrees detached from what's the reality of what's going to happen with these wars that they get hard-ons for, calling to send people into the fucking meat grinder. For what? For what? Because you're a fucking psychopath who's too pussy to go out and do it yourself? So you're going to get vicarious thrills off of watching other people do it? And then let's not even get into the financial cost. All the money we're going to dump into another war that instead of being spent on, I don't know, our own people, our own infrastructure, bettering our own country, we're going to go over there, blow the shit out of their country, and you know what happens at the end of that type of situation. We got to go over there and, of course, the money we spend to quote-unquote rebuild will be nowhere what we spent to blow them the fuck up, but that's just how the shit works.
Meanwhile, it takes somebody 4,000 hours of working minimum wage to pay for college. But yeah, let's go to war again.
Yeah, let's get the poverty draft started again. Let's start fucking going around saying we'll give you $10,000 to sign up.
As
all
of
that shit.
Today, Trump is still saying that he believes he can talk it out with the Iranians. I mean, I legitimately wish him luck, and I agree with him that I hope that he can talk this out. But it's not like the Trump administration has had a good relationship with the Iranians, even though you'd think throwing out the nuclear deal would be good news for them. I mean, that's part of the reason why they're in this situation now too, because with the nuclear deal went sanctions. So, the idea of increasing those sanctions was one of the few things that was actually keeping Iran in line and not sending troops all over the Middle East.
Well, also, aren't we in the middle of a Trump created trade war at the moment as well?
He relaxed the auto tariffs. That went on for about a day, and he went, maybe not.
Okay, because I'm just saying, there's only so much we can bleed out as far as money in this country before it starts to really become a fucking serious issue. And we already have, farmers being hit hard. Obviously, if he relaxed the tariffs on steel and all that, then the auto industry is maybe not being hit as hard. But, I mean...
Soybean farmers are being hit super hard.
Oh, yeah, big time. That's one of the biggest exports to China. I mean, it's just... Wow. I don't know. That's why I'm not a politician. I just... How do you justify all this? I mean, how do you look at the people who you're supposedly, presiding over, supposed to be serving as a public servant, and go, yeah, I'm going to fuck us over for God knows how many years because I got a point to prove. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, give me your kids because I got to send them to fucking be bullet sponges over in some fucking country that we really have no business being over there fucking around with.
I can't imagine what he thinks the end game in this situation is going to look like, because while first of all, America doesn't export nearly as many goods as it used to, but the goods that it does still export in massive amounts are not really that unique to America. We may be able to churn them out for reasonable prices, but they can get their shit elsewhere on the market, especially if they're going to be slapped with high tariffs to buy our shit. So there's no win there for the U.S., and we can't... The U.S. can't. We rely on cheap technology from China still. Yeah, we have North Korea or South Korea, and Taiwan Taiwan a separate country?
Yes.
Yes.
And don't you remember? That was one of the first things Trump got in trouble for. Was he recognized Taiwan as a country?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm not trying to be president, all right?
Not anymore.
Yeah, I mean we rely more on Chinese goods than they rely on our goods. And also, I'm not saying that overall the U.S. economy is declining, but China's is definitely on the rise. I mean, we should want a symbiotic relationship with them.
I don't want iPhones to cost $10,000. We don't need Air Jordans costing $5,000.
We don't need Air Jordans costing $300-$400 right now, period.
Well,
considering how much it costs to make them fuckers.
Well, that ship sailed 30 years ago, sir.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not even going to try to front and act like I'm up on economic policy with China, but China is a partner or China's part of the WTO, right? World Trade Organization. They're one of the They have to be. I mean,
I would imagine so. I could not say definitively.
I mean, they're the biggest consumer country on the planet at this point, like over 1 billion people. And businesses are salivating to get in there because it's 1 billion customers.
Yes, Rich, it is part of the WTO.
Okay, because from what I understand, China is kind of playing, like, we'll play along with some of the rules of the WTO, but then we're not going to, we don't like this rule, so we're just going to ignore it. We're going to do what we want. And businesses are essentially going, well, there's 1 billion people in China, and that's 2 billion socks we can sell them. So we don't want to piss them off that bad, so we can't really do anything to them, so just let them get away with it.
Part of being a member of the WTO is adhering to some common laws of, well, the main thing I think China's violating is intellectual property.
Exactly, that's what I was getting
laws,
at.
however you want to phrase it.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a whole episode of Silicon Valley about that. When he tried to start Chinese Facebook, Chinese Twitter.
Yeah, and I mean they do that by practice. It's that because it would be up to the Chinese government to prosecute people who are violating that law, and they don't. They allow it to happen blatantly. A company, electronic product gets developed outside of China, gets sent to China for them to mass produce it. So, all they have to do is go, yeah, we'll mass produce this, and then use this information to start another factory across town that's going to make the exact same thing. Or fuck it, we'll just do it out of the same factory. And some of these phones will, we'll send to Apple, and some of the phones we'll send to the black market. We'll send to Alibaba, not even the black market. We'll send it to fucking Amazon.
I just don't. I'm with you guys. I don't understand what starting a trade war with one of the world's largest economies, how that will benefit us.
Yeah.
They just on numbers alone, they win. 1 billion compared to 350 million.
Right. I mean, it's just a dick measuring contest for Donald Trump. Only he's trying to do it with a porn star.
Has it been like his whole presidency?
Like, nobody was complaining about America's dick, but you put it right up next to, fucking John Holmes, and of course it's going to look small.
Oh, come on. His 3.5-inch blue vein diamond cutter. Come on. Some small hands makes it look bigger. That's what it is.
Oh God! I know he represents our country in general, but does his dick have to represent America's dick?
Till January 2021, unfortunately, yes.
It reminds me of that scene in Game of Thrones where it's like, why would you fight if you don't have a cock? Well, for money. Yeah, but you know what most soldiers spend their money on? Pussy. Yeah, maybe it does all come down to cock. It's like, is this really all about? He woke up and realized his cock was small, and now he's like, no, I got to be president, and I got to cause a bunch of shit just because I got a small dick. Couldn't he just go buy a lifted 4x4?
Oh, did Obama tell him he had a little dick? Is that what this is all about?
He said,
I want to see your birth certificate. Oh, yeah, well, you got a little dick. I want your job.
They ended up in 2 urinals next to each other, and he took a peek and was like, fuck, it's true. Fuck, I got to be president now.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Good price, but the APR...
Zero.
The deposit, though,
Zero.
I understand, but...
Zero.
Okay, it's an incredible deal. Just please stop doing that.
Okay. Zero. The 192 Renault range. 0% APR. Zero deposit. Zero catches. Visit the Renault Runway sales event from the 23rd to the 25th of May at your local dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply, subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Knockenstock 2019. This July 19th, 20th and 21st, Ireland's most picturesque festival is back to the breathtaking shores of the Blessing Lakes. Enjoy your weekend camping by the lake, boutique camping in your camper or in our family area. Delight in the delicious and Epicurean food stalls, artisanal coffee, bustling bars and traders. theatre, poetry, dance, spoken word, and a celebration of art in all its forms. There will be music, acts, and experience you won't get anywhere else. Like Happy Alone, Mango and Mathman, Jealous of the Birds, Joshua Burnside, Keen Kavanagh, The Scratch, Ye Vagabonds, Junior Brother, Just Mustard, and many more. Weekend tickets are $155 from knockandstocking.ie.
Good price, but the APR...
Zero.
The deposit, though, must...
Zero.
I understand, but...
Zero.
Okay, it's an incredible deal. Just please stop doing that.
Okay. Zero. The 192 Renault range. 0% APR. Zero deposit. Zero catches. Visit the Renault Runway sales event from the 23rd to the 25th of May at your local dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply, subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Oh no, a car on the footpath. Ah. Ow! My face! You can make a difference. Keep the footpaths clear. Make life a little easier for people with sight loss. Brought to you by NCBI, working for people with sight loss. Hashtag clear our paths. Visit ncbi.ie.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
So, well, this is a busy week for the White House. There's also the immigration plan and the basically what they're phrasing as a free speech protection system for social media, but really a place where conservatives can go tattle when they get banned from Twitter.
Okay, so build them a crying shack out back and let them go fucking commiserate. I don't. What's the problem here? Like a virtual crying shack.
Why does everyone act like social media is a God-given right? It's a choice. You do not have to have it. We talked about this last week. So now we're going to act.
Yeah, they're going to have they provided a link to a website on Twitter where you can go and put in your personal information, including, of course, whether you are or not an American citizen. And you can then report on, I don't know, why you couldn't see Alex Jones on Facebook.
Does the link take you to John Oliver's Screaming Into the Void website? Just wondering, because in that case, I approve of that link. You know, I'm down with this. Let's just, that's the right's way of being. That's the Ralphie Wiggum moment. I'm helping. Yeah, you sure are, dude. Just go scream into that void.
Yeah. I mean, what's unclear is what's going to happen from there. I mean, is this going to prompt them to put pressure on Facebook and Twitter? And even then, what does that look like?
How
does the government pressure Facebook?
Yeah, exactly. Unless you turn it into a public utility, Facebook can go, fuck off. We're a private business.
Well, I read an opinion piece that...
Well, maybe that is the end game. Maybe that's seizing control of it.
I read an opinion piece that the writer, I can't remember his name, it's nobody that sticks out like that. If I said him, you guys would be like, oh yeah, I know who he is. But his opinion was he thinks that Facebook and by extension Zuckerberg is basically laying back in the buckwheat going, I don't want to say what can and can't be said on Facebook too much. I'd rather the government step in because I don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah, because that's worked out well.
And if that's the case, then that's a very dangerous fucking starting point.
Sure is.
For that.
I can't imagine Facebook or any other company running a social media site in wanting the government to step in any way.
Actually, Zuckerberg, I read an article, I think a couple weeks ago, Rich is right. Zuckerberg thinks that it's time for the government to regulate the internet. That's an article I read a couple weeks ago.
All right, I'm going to have to read this.
And that's scary because if that's the way it had been from the beginning, would we even have Facebook? Would we have the things we have?
Oh, wait. Chris, you're not referring to the former Facebook, what was he, a CEO or something like that? He's one of the founding members, the guy who said that the government should break up Facebook?
Nope. From Reason.com, April 5th, 2019. Mark Zuckerberg calls for government regulation of political speech on Facebook.
Of political speech?
Yeah, but this.
Really?
Yeah, but but now the argument starts. What's political? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This.
Well, I know.
Here comes the slippery slope argument. Quite honestly.
Yeah, I know. I think it was Facebook, Twitter, and I don't remember who else it was. There was 3 companies involved today in announcing that they were going to be combating the use of social media for terrorist purposes, but to regulate.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Put it this way, you could say just posting on fucking 4th of July, God bless America, you could call that political speech. Like that's the murky water here is what's going to be the definition of political speech.
Well, not only what is political speech, but where do you draw the line as to what's going too far with political speech?
Exactly.
Everybody's got a different opinion on what are political extremist views. So, well, look, we used to have the nightly news, right? And then we had CNN or C-SPAN, which came first.
Oh, I have no idea.
Just general cable news, like all the news, all the stories, all kinds of different opinions. And then now that we've got many news channels to pick from, everything's been divvied up and everyone's taken sides. Maybe that's just inevitable what's going to happen with social media. There's going to be a conservative social media and a liberal social media. And we can have conservative chicken serving restaurants and liberal chicken serving restaurants.
If you want chicken on Sunday, you got to go to the liberal chicken serving restaurant.
It.
Yeah, but
we'll have a draft. We'll have a draft like the racial draft on Chappelle's show, right? We'll get liberal and conservative representatives to get up there, and they can argue over who gets to, who gets Popeyes and who gets KFC.
Sounds dangerously close to separate but equal. Didn't we already fix that?
But
now since skin colors involved, it would be okay.
Yes, what I'm joking about with restaurants sounds like that, but not the social media thing. I mean, that's just choice. You have conservative newspapers, you have liberal newspapers.
Yeah, but yes. Real quick, Chris, you hit on something with that, separate but equal. Didn't we already try that? I think if there's anything that we can, well, I don't know if we can agree on it. I don't know if we can even agree on what color grass is, but I think a lot of people have forgotten the lessons that we've learned or should have learned from the past, because the more lunatic fringe element of the right and left, I keep hearing more and more. So what if it's separate but equal? If they want to live in the flyover states, let them live in the flyover states, and we'll take the coast, and we'll take the major cities.
But how does separate and equal apply to political divides?
Because instead of doing it along racial divides, it's along political divides. Because they'll argue that why should I have a friend who I don't agree with politically? Because if I don't agree with you, if your politics are opposed to mine, then morally you're opposed to what I believe morally. So why would I want to be friends with you? And I will go, well then who do you have that ever challenges you? If you sit around with 10 people and you all just one person says something and you all just and nod sagely after they say it, and that's it. How does anything new come out of that?
Yeah,
that is the echo chamber, literally.
One of the best parts of my marriage is we are on 2 different sides, and it keeps us engaged. It keeps us talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to be challenged anymore.
Well,
I'm not saying the vast majority.
I was talking with a friend earlier today about the idea of culture accelerating and facts turning over faster and faster, and this idea that with the spread of information, we are heading towards a monoculture, which is not a good thing, because once you have a monoculture, you have a culture in stasis, right? There's no outside influence to actually interrupt that and create new things. And we will literally be out of ideas.
Didn't Germany kind of try the monoculture thing in the early 40s?
Well, yeah. What is the first thing? What is one of the main things it takes to compromise with someone. In my mind, trust is one of the biggest issues. If I take a step towards you, you have to take a step towards me. And if both parties go, I'm not taking that first step, and I refuse to take that first step, and even if you take a step towards me, I don't really believe you took a step towards me. I believe the minute I take a step forward, you're going to jump 3 steps back. So why are we even doing this? Then yeah, exactly. It's a stalemate. We're going to remain static, and that's not good for the progression of society, let alone how to run a fucking government, a country. And I truly feel like that's more and more what we're getting towards. And I think that it's a lot easier to divide up people. And I mean, like, okay,
it's the easy way out.
Perfect example.
Maybe this is the only healthy way, right? As our culture becomes more global with our reach through our phones and every device on hand, we can see and talk to people all over the world. We can get ideas from everywhere. I mean, maybe that's the only way out of becoming a monoculture in stasis, is that we will always still have these deep philosophical divides. And like, it's not about, like, when you say separate but equal, that brings to mind, like, everyone's going to live in their own cities, which, if it ever did come to that, like, the liberals are going to win. Sorry, guys. You can't concentrate enough conservatives to keep the lights on.
They'll get all the cool cities.
Right.
They'll get the cities people want to live in.
But
Wichita, though, you're fucked.
But it's we don't have to live in the same city as our peers in order to be with the people that we want to consider our peers. They don't have to be our peers. Everyone that we talk to on the internet those are now our peers. And the people that live in my city are backwards hicks. They are other. They are the enemy, whatever you want to consider them. And maybe that's the only, because if we understand that having one culture, one government that rules a whole earth, and one experience, that's sure, it might be some sort of utopia for a short period, but it's not going to last.
I'd rather live in a society that challenges me, where I can keep my autonomy personally.
You need some sort of conflict, and that doesn't mean, even though war has been the big conflict that drives progress, that drives everything in history, it doesn't mean that's the only answer, but you do need some sort of conflict.
You can't solve a problem without a conflict. It's generally how most problems get solved.
If everyone agrees, then you're agreeing also that there is no problem, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know if there's any way around that when it comes down to human nature, and maybe that's for the best, because that's the only way we're going to continue to strive, is that we are always going to fundamentally disagree with other people.
We are sitting in this country right now. This country exists because of a conflict. Because some people in England did not like the way that they were being treated by the country they lived in. Mm. Conflict's probably built most of the world.
So,
most of modern society.
I mean, I don't know really what I'm trying to say here, though, but if we're to... I don't know if I honestly believe that the quote-unquote current political division that we're experiencing, that is like unprecedented and extreme, is all that odd or outside basic human behavior, and B, necessarily a bad thing.
I don't think it's outside of human behavior. I think what we have for the first time, at least that I'm aware of in recorded history, a way for everybody to let everybody else know every little thing on their mind and how they feel about every little subject. Whereas before, you might have that neighbor who you think is, he might be like super conservative. I don't know. I barely make eye contact with him when I check the mail. Right. But if you see him on Facebook and he's like rebel flags all over the place, but, and
virtue signaling is how we find our communities. I know it's an annoying tool, but it is a tool to find your peers out there when you're no longer restrained to, finding your peers in your immediate proximity, in your neighborhood or your city, your town, your state, whatever you identify with, or your race or your religion or your background, or however you you put together this mythological, family that you're supposedly part of. When you start breaking all that down, then and deciding that you're going to make your peers based on common ideas, then that's how you find those people, by virtue signaling.
I thought it was just through old-fashioned conversation.
Yeah.
That's the way I grew up, that's the way I'm going to be. But, I mean, I guess I'm just backwards. I've had to come to accept I'm over 40. I'm irrelevant now, so.
But look, it's like a pickup line, Rich. Like, nobody thinks that pickup lines actually work, but they do, because whether you fall for the line or not, it's a way to start a conversation and give the other party a chance to go, this person is worth talking to or not. If the line's decent enough, or it just doesn't seem like the other person's a creep, maybe you have a conversation, maybe it goes somewhere, right? So virtue signaling is the same thing. Sure, ideally we'd all sit down and have intimate conversations with as many people as we can and figure out their beliefs and then pick and choose from the people that we want to actually associate ourselves with. That's not reality. Nobody even has time for that. So you throw up a flag.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Really?
I don't want to talk to you. Just send me a friend request and I'll look at your profile real quick.
I mean, and virtue signaling gets a bad name because it's used to refer to mostly, I think, instances of outrage by proxy, right? I'm not the offended party, but I can't believe that somebody would do somebody else this way. And I am personally outraged by this, even though it doesn't affect me.
I'm personally, you can't be more offended than the person who isn't offended.
Right. Yes. But when I go on Twitter and tweet about a comic book that I like, I'm virtue signaling. I'm signaling, hey, I like comics. I think these ones are cool. Okay, if somebody hit me up and was like, hey, I read that too. That was a really good issue. I might have a conversation with them. So I'm like, hey, here's a starting point to have something in common. Versus what girls on Twitter get apparently 24/7, which is sup to their DMs.
And you did strike on something that I was going to say, and you said it first, but yeah, I kind of want to follow up. Virtue signaling in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it can be used as a battering ram to beat someone over the head with, or it could be it's something as benign as, like you said, hey, I'm a fan of this comic book. Anybody else, blah, 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 blah. And some dude comes in, oh yeah, I like it too. And you start having a conversation, you strike up a friendship, whatever, that's cool. It's when it's used as a battering ram that it starts getting into beating someone over the head and telling them that they're fucking idiots and how wrong they are. You're not going to change their mind that way. And my problem is most people who use virtue signaling as a battering ram think they're doing the Lord's work, for lack of a better way to put it. Whether they're conservative or liberal, they think they're actually helping the person they're beating over the head with their, with their virtue signaling, because I'm going to change their mind.
The common practice of exclusionary virtue signaling, wherein somebody posts, if you voted for Trump, unfollow me.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Those people say bye. Cool. To me, those are people looking for a way out. And now they found it out. And two, I think we're getting mired here in what virtue signaling is. The definition of virtue is behavior showing high moral standards. It's a lot different than going, hey, I like a comic book. It's showing I'm a better person than you. That's my whole problem with virtue signaling is it's people breaking their arms to pat themselves on the back.
Yes.
Yeah, but the problem is we are long past, for most people, what people say is more, or post, if you will, is more important than their actions.
Well, in the way that we stretch these terms out, social justice warrior means a certain type of person to most people. And when you say it to them, they have they conjure up this, extreme liberal with a pussy hat or something. And, as a concept, why wouldn't you be against... How could you be against social justice? And shouldn't that be something that one fights for if they believe in American values,
But just like in the group chat we have, you get the one-uppers. Someone takes a stand and someone goes, okay, that stand's not far enough to the right or the left from me, so I have to one-up them and go even farther to the left or right. And it turns into, oh my God, this is why everybody hates you. You're an asshole, dude. Seriously?
Yeah, what was the thing that I posted on?
I just pulled it up.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's no shots. No, it's a picture of something from a school that says no shots, no records, no school. Children will not be enrolled without vaccination records. And someone said, I stand by this 1,000%. And then someone quoted them and tweeted, do y'all realize not everyone can afford vaccines?
Right. Because no matter the issue, there's always some class of people that is being oppressed, and they are apparently the chosen spokesperson for that class.
And for what it's worth, I took the bait. I responded to that guy under the regimented Twitter account. I just asked him, you ever heard of the health department?
Right.
Shocking, I got no response.
Yeah. Because that's how convinced the government is that vaccines do work. They give this shit out for free. Because you know what? It saves them money. That's one of the rare instances where the government is forward thinking and going, hey, we could do preventative care. There's a prophylactic that will keep people from coming back in the hospital, and we end up footing the bill because that person's likely on Medicare or Medicaid.
Yeah, and there's a lot of programs for children born to poor parents. I mean, WIC is pretty much given away to anybody who wants it. I mean, you have to turn it down in some places.
You don't even have to be poor to use a health department. When I got my immunizations for 8th grade, my mom took me to the health department because it's free versus taking you to the doctor and spending a shitload of money.
In San Francisco, they have roving packs of doctors with needles that just randomly stab kids.
So here you go. Enjoy your autism.
You'll be socially awkward, but you'll be really good at piano. If I could play like some of my Guitar Heroes, I'd take a bit of social awkwardness. You know what I'm saying? It's a fair trade.
You think a touch of the tism?
Yeah.
Play like Stevie Ray Vaughan?
And I don't know about him, more Hendrix. But, Stevie Ray did a version of Hendrix. Hendrix did it originally. So I want to, but no, yeah. Yeah, but that goes back to those are the type of people who, we've said, and we even, brought it up earlier on this show, going back to that tweet where, y'all realize there's people that can't afford vaccinations. Those aren't people trying to help the people that can't afford vaccinations. Those are people trying to win an argument at all costs. And they're talking about, seriously, how many people who can't afford vaccinations can't even get someplace where they will get one for free? Let's just throw a number out there and say 4% of the U.S. population. Okay, what are you doing to help them? Because that tweet didn't help them. In fact, that tweet's nothing but just basically making people go, oh, God, this asshole again?
Yeah.
So
you don't get the point. Aaron made it. The government wants you not to have measles bad enough that they will give it to you for free. It's proactive.
I didn't realize this until the recent issue with measles, the outbreaks we've had here in Metro Detroit, in the Tri-County area. Someone was making a case of, what if you can't afford to go to a doctor? And they're like, immunization, or vaccines will be given away for free. What if you can't afford to get there? Call this number. This agency will send people to pick you up and take you and your child to the doctor and get your child vaccinated.
Yeah.
And this person was still making excuses. And it's like, just admit you don't want people to get vaccinated so you have someone to sit there and go, see, look how bad this is. Look how horrible the world is. Everybody, look at this. Because why? So you can win points on Twitter or Facebook or whatever the fuck later.
And the numbers bear out well in favor of vaccines. That's what I don't get about these people. Again, measles was gone in 2000. Now it's back. Coincidence? No.
That's just proof we don't need vaccines anymore. Nobody gets the measles.
Yeah, nobody travels overseas, right?
Yeah, I know. It's I use Head and Shoulders, but you don't have dandruff because I use Head and Shoulders. Ah, okay. All right, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, see how that works? If I didn't, my shoulders when I wore a black shirt would like the top of a fucking mountain. So yeah, what do you want me to fucking say here? All right, is there anything else serious on the docket? Because something just popped up in the breaking news, and I got to get your opinion on it, Aaron. And it's totally it's pop culture bullshit. So I mean, I don't want to interject that in the middle of it if we got more serious stuff.
We've had an hour and a half of darkness. Let's end on a high note.
I don't know if it's a high note. And I don't know. Is Aaron still? Are you there? Do we lose you?
Usually when this has happened, he's probably coughing.
Okay. Yeah, he's technical difficulties here for a sec.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net.
When your kids are having a sleepover, but nobody's sleeping.
Did somebody say just eat?
When you've got that Friday feeling, but it's only Monday evening.
Did somebody say just eat?
Download the app and order food for delivery.
Did somebody say just eat?
Colour Trend is inspired by the elusive colours of the Irish landscape. Simple and mysterious, everyday and precious. From the hues of Ireland's earth, sky and waters to its wild flora and native fauna, we put Ireland in paint. High-performance paints, using only the best ingredients, making it your perfect household paint. Find your perfect colour with Colour Trend. Infinite colour from Ireland.
This May, see Disney's Aladdin on the big screen.
Showtime.
Take a ride, make a wish, and feel the magic like never before. Starring Will Smith as the genie.
Here's the basics. Step 1, rub the lamp. Step 2, say what you want. Step 3, there is no step 3.
Watch out! You done wound me up. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Disney's Aladdin, in cinemas May 22nd.
And the crowd goes wild.
IFCO BG.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
I think we have Aaron back.
All right, sorry about that.
No,
I unplugged my computer, I guess.
But
hey, breaking news. Robert Pattinson has been cast as Batman in the Matt Reeves produced The Batman film.
So Batman's going emo?
Oh, and also the U.S. believes they saw missiles on Iranian warships. But more importantly,
Robert Pattinson.
More importantly, emo Batman.
Emo is fuck Batman. Okay, so I will reserve my judgment. I don't know Robert Pattinson outside of outside of Twilight. So I have. Well, wait a minute. What would I have maybe seen him in that wasn't a Twilight movie? I can't think of anything.
A cologne commercial?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I found him very annoying in Twilight, but then I found everyone and the whole movie to be very annoying, so it's really hard to single out one person. I know that Kristen Stewart acts the same in every other movie that I've seen her in outside of Twilight, so
1,000-yard stare and close your fucking mouth.
Yeah. If somebody told me that she was playing a superhero, I'd be like, Dead Man, maybe?
Stoic woman? Expressionless woman?
By the way, going through his IMDb, anything you've heard of, it starts with the name Twilight.
Yeah.
The only thing that I took away from his acting in the like maybe a third of a Twilight movie I was able to sit through, because I was just like, the only way this movie will get good is if Blade shows up and starts killing everybody. That's it. And it didn't happen, so I turned it off. Is that he has about 1/4 more of the one expression, one trick pony that is Freddie Prinze Jr. Like, he can emote just a little bit besides that, look he has. Because that's all, I'm like, how do you have a movie where everybody looks like they're bored as fuck through the whole thing? Was there anyone in the Twilight movies who showed any type of personality or acting ability? Granted, I haven't seen them all, but
I slept through the whole trilogy. The woman I was dating at the time loved him. Yeah, sure, put it on. If I get laid at the end, that's all I care about.
You're like, were you snoring? No, not me.
Nope.
Yeah.
I didn't have sex yet? No? All right.
Okay. Yeah, really, Robert Pattinson. That's the best of the young. I mean, I understand they want to go younger. That's the best of like the late 20s, early 30s actors you can find.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure he tested really well, and he's got a good jawline. I mean, it doesn't really take a lot to play Batman.
I guess
people look at it as this like it's some sort of deep role just because he's the most emo of the superheroes, but he's still.
But the thing about he is probably the most emo of the superheroes. He's always sad. He's always brooding.
Yeah,
and I mean, I catch hell for this from like a lot of my friends, but my favorite Batman was Michael Keaton.
Right, and what was he before?
Why do you catch hell?
Fucking Mr. Mom. And Beetlejuice.
And Gung Ho. Those are the three movies I remember him from. Oh, no.
Oh, dude, I love Michael Keaton.
No,
for my money for Batman, it's Keaton and Bale. End of list.
Yeah, I liked Bale as Batman, but I think Keaton actually brought something to Bruce Wayne. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a good point.
He actually gave him a little bit of personality besides, I'm the rich guy who walks around and you don't know I'm Batman. You know, like...
Yeah, that is a good point about Christian Bale's Batman. I never believed that he was even trying to be two different people. Like, when he was Bruce Wayne, he was Batman out of costume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Keaton's Batman had a duality to him.
Right. And Clooney's Batman kind of had the opposite problem. Like,
and the nipples.
Even after he put the cowl on, he was like, you never really bought it.
You're like, there's George Clooney in a Batman outfit.
I couldn't stop staring at the nipples. It was like, why? Why do the nipples need to be a part of the suit?
And the codpiece. But no, man, like I remember that going to see the '89 Batman, and Robert Wall was going through like when they snuck away from Bruce Wayne's party, and you know. They're pointing out all the stupid stuff he's got in his house. Like, God, when you got money, you buy a lot of stupid shit. And here walks up Michael Keaton. He goes, yeah, this guy does buy a lot of dumb shit. He goes, oh, yeah, my name's whatever Robert Wall's character is. What's your name? He goes, yeah, I'm Bruce Wayne. It was like, you know, just little things like that. And the whole scene with the Joker when he shows up at Vicky Vale's apartment and he's like, you want to get nuts? Let's get... I was like, all right, you know, like, there's some personality there. You know, because the only Batman I grew up with before that was Adam West. And that was just pure camp. I mean, come on, man. That was Saturday morning, like, you know, like watching a cartoon.
That's a live-action comic book.
Yeah. Very much of its time. Especially when he started doing the Bat Dance, you know, and all that shit. So
the Bat Tootsie?
Yeah. And when I think back on it, the Adam West Batman, it was never really about Batman and Robin for me. It was about the villains.
Well... So when you describe it as a live-action comic book, I mean, I have to kind of take exception because comic books are a lot of different things, and very few of them are actually really that campy.
Will you accept live-action cartoon?
I would, yeah. I think that's a little more apt. But what's interesting about that, though, is that Batman being this brooding emo type of hero, that goes all the way back. The beginning of the character, and when they wanted to make a TV show out of it, they were kind of like, well, you know, sure, this is this brooding superhero, but it's going to be ridiculous if we put this guy in a fucking cowl on TV. Then people aren't going to take him seriously, so we can't take this seriously. And there was actually the comics that after the success of the TV show. That started influencing the comics that came out after that, and the comics started getting a lot goofier.
I was going to say, did the campiness in the comic books come from the Batman show, or was that before? And you just answered my question for me. So
yes.
So was Michael Keaton's Batman where it pivoted back to the dark?
No, I think why that one remains a classic, that version of Batman, is because it walks that line kind of perfectly. And that's what a lot of the best modern stories about superheroes, that's what they do. They manage to take all the different versions of that hero that we've seen over decades and pack that into one person in a way that seems believable.
What about Nicholson's Joker versus Heath Ledger's?
Wait, I missed the first part, but would you say Jack Nicholson's?
Yeah.
Joker? Okay.
I thought it was Heath Ledger trying to do his best Jack Nicholson.
I didn't get that at all.
I thought he was trying to channel the spirit of Jack, I guess.
I think Jack Nicholson played a criminal Joker, whereas Heath Ledger played an agent of chaos Joker. Just do things just for the sake of it.
I'm going to be the asshole, but I honestly got to say, like, Jack Nicholson's, I think he did a fair job, but he what was the Joker from the Batman TV show?
Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero, thank you. He does an amazing Joker. I think Heath Ledger does a great Joker too, but that's kind of a different version of Joker for me, as is the one from Suicide Squad. I think those are great versions of Joker, but for me, I mean, the Joker is camp at heart.
Well, if I remember correctly, Mark Hamill said that he based his voicing of the Joker on Cesar Romero's version.
And now I was just going to say, Rich.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. Those are two of my favorite Jokers, Cesar Romero and Mark Hamill.
The only problem with Jack Nicholson to me is the same problem I had with watching The Shining. Even though I was a little kid, I knew Jack Nicholson is the crazy guy actor. So when I watched The Shining, I was like, how long until he goes crazy? Because that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for him to be like, Wendy, light of my life. I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to bash your fucking brains in. That's what you're waiting for.
Yeah, but isn't that an element of the Joker? Is that unpredictability? The volatility?
But that character needs the maniacal laugh. Heath Ledger does not have a maniacal laugh. It's not good enough. I'm not complaining about his performance. I like that version of Joker. I like that version of Batman. I don't think that those versions that we saw in those movies are the ultimate versions of Batman and the Joker.
Yeah, you know what?
I enjoy those the same way that I would enjoy an Elseworlds or Earth 2 type of Batman story.
I think Heath Ledger's
a little bit different spin.
Heath Ledger's Joker works in the Chris Nolan Batman world universe, if you will.
Yes, yeah, because it was all structured around this is happening in your world, not in some superhero world. There's no metagenes, there's no mutants, there's no people from other planets. This is just people with a lot of money and crazy ideas.
Yeah, and I think that's why that worked for me. I'm just like Danny DeVito as the Penguin worked in Batman. I think Batman Returns is a better movie than 89 Batman. And I know I get shit from that from a lot of my friends. They're like, how could you like that one better? I'm like, I think Danny DeVito did a fucking outstanding job as the Penguin.
Right. Well, but that's also why these characters have survived over decades, both the Joker and the Batman, is because you can pick the version that best fits your story. That version of Joker that Heath Ledger portrayed was the perfect Joker for that story that Chris Nolan wanted to tell. And if you put somebody that was doing a Cesar Romero impression in there, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, by the way, I just got to say real quick, a page I follow called Fortress of Nerditude, when they announced Robert Pattinson has been cast as Batman, the memes are flying hard and fast, and the one that's cracking me up is Pepe's reading a book on a bed, and it says, shit we don't do with the new Batman movie. That shit right there is cast Robert Pattinson as Batman. I mean, this shit was just announced and boom, they're already coming out with memes going off on the guy. I mean, I'm with you, Aaron. I'll reserve judgment to a certain extent. Let's put it this way. I'm not going in with very high hopes, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I figure.
Well, I don't know. I think given some of the moves that
I'm just saying, if I go in with no expectations, it's a lot harder to be let down.
Sure.
That's how I'm looking at it.
My expectations are fairly high for this movie because I've enjoyed a lot of what DC has done recently. I thought Aquaman was a ridiculous movie that had, a plot that was like a Mad Libs mashup of 80s movies, but it was great fun. It was thoroughly enjoyable, and I've seen it twice already. I've seen Wonder Woman multiple times. Loved that movie. I hear Shazam's great. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I think they're making the right decisions, and I like the fact that, look, Marvel pulled off a feat. I don't know, Stan Lee sucked the devil's dick at some point or something, or Kevin Feige, or I don't know who did. I mean, to put out 22 movies as a studio and have every single one of them make money, that right there is a feat that nobody's been able to accomplish. To expect DC to just be able to repeat that because they have similar IP is not really feasible. And I think they're going to be more successful by not trying to pattern themselves after Marvel and do this big universe building thing. The idea that there was no mention of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, I thought was great. I think you tell a better Aquaman story when he's in his own world of fish people. And, I know there was nods to the bigger universe of superheroes in Shazam, but it's not like whatever Batman they put in there has to be the Batman that is going to be in Matt Reeves' movie.
And
because Marvel has its universe and DC has its characters, right? And the reason that DC characters have survived through so much that they've put them through over the different reboots and crises and et cetera, is because the solid core of these characters is so pure that it's so easy to reinvent them. They are just iconic in their image alone. That you can apply whatever heroic things or non-heroic things you want to that character. Whereas Marvel has always been characters are great, but the Marvel character is the Marvel universe, and all the characters make that up. So the idea of spinning out these movies that are kind of more independent and concentrate on their own solid story for that character and not what that story is going to add to the bigger story when we want to do, another Justice League movie or what have you.
Well, I mean, I got to say this. How's Ben Affleck got to be feeling? You bombed out with two separate comic book characters, one for Marvel, one for DC. Because, I mean, from what I gathered, a lot of people didn't like his portrayal of Batman. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was anything that stood head and shoulders above any other portrayal. I thought it was a very middle of the road, I can watch him as Batman.
It seems like there was certainly a heavy amount of skepticism going in. I didn't hear a lot of complaints about his performance when the movie came out. And then after it all started to fall apart, Justice League didn't do the numbers it was expected to. He didn't know how many more movies he was going to do. And DC and Warner Brothers just kind of losing faith in the whole structure that they had set up and just having to overhaul that. Now with 2020 hindsight, everyone's going, yeah, fucking Batfleck. like that was the decision that sunk the ship. And it wasn't. He wasn't the weak the
weak link.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
And somewhere, Kevin Smith is upset because he once infamously said, I love Affleck. I'd cast him as the shark in Jaws. So he's like, of course I want him to be Batman. I want him to be Superman too. Shit, but I don't think they can make that movie.
Just real quick as an aside, because you mentioned Kevin Smith, there was recently a Detective Comics issue number 1000 that was released, and it was like an 80-page giant, and it was full of short stories that were written and drawn by creators that had all worked on Batman over the years. And Kevin Smith got to contribute one of these stories to it, and it is just fantastic. And it kind of tells a story of Batman's symbol on his chest, the bat, and why it's there. And it kind of draws from the idea that I think, Kevin Smith credits Frank Miller as the origin of this idea. And I would trust his knowledge of the Batman. But the idea that the reason that he wears a big yellow bat symbol on his chest is because he wants it to be a target, because he's got this like armor plate underneath it, and that kind of draws fire, you know. But of course, Kevin Smith goes deeper than that. There's a whole metaphor for, you know, life and all kinds of shit. But it's a good story anyway.
Well, it's gonna be interesting, and it's supposed to come out 2021, they said. So
yeah,
there'll be plenty of spoilers leaked between now and then for us. That's usually how it always goes. I mean, if you want them, they'll be there, I guess I should say.
First of all, everyone has always been skeptical of an announced Batman until they shouldn't actually release these things until they have a picture of the person in the cowl, because that's what makes it or breaks it. If you can actually pull off that cowl and not look like an idiot, because most people can't. And yeah, I mean, Robert Pattinson has the jaw for that cowl. I believe that, and I can already picture what he's going to look like in it. And I think he'd make a pretty dandy Bruce Wayne as well. As to his acting chops, sure. Do I know if he's done the only thing I've seen him in it was basically a fucking soap opera. So it's really hard to judge, but am I believing that it takes some kind of Shakespearean skills to pull off a character like Batman?
No.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Dandy, what are you, 80?
So what are we really talking about here, right? Can this person pull off Batman?
Well, I do remember as a kid.
The only requirement is don't flub your lines and fucking don't look like an idiot in the cowl. All right?
Pissed the whole time.
Somebody else is going to be doing all the stunts anyway.
You know, I do remember as a kid when they announced Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, and my dad was like, like he wasn't he wasn't completely against it, but he was like, I could picture him maybe as the Joker, because the only thing he really knew him from was Beetlejuice. He's like, man, you know, maybe as a wacky Joker, but Batman?
And that would make sense, and he probably would make a great Joker.
You know, and I was like, and then we went, the day it come out, him and I went and saw it, and it was funny as hell, hindsight being 20/20. We both left the theater. Now, this is a grown comic book fan, my father, and me at 12 years old. We left the theater, and the whole ride home talked about, can you believe how dark that Batman was? And that ain't even shit compared to
right.
You know, it's one step above the 60s Batman now. You know what I'm saying?
So think about this.
Say 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Okay. If you took a poll and you asked most people, who's the better actor, Jack Nicholson or Michael Keaton?
Oh, come on.
I mean, I like Michael Keaton a lot, but yeah, come on.
He's no Jack.
Right. Now, Michael Keaton played Batman and pulled it off. He was a great Batman. He could have played the Joker, and he would have nailed that as well. Could Jack Nicholson have pulled off Batman?
No. Well, he's too old at the time for starters, but no.
Well, try and set that aside. And do you really think that he would be invested in that character? I'm just saying, like,
he's good at crazy. He's not good at brooding.
I know. I just think that we have this like bias to like Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino,
De
Niro, right? These are guys that like, these are the best of the best. These guys are, you know, geniuses. Do they really stray that much? You know, I've seen De Niro been able to stretch a little bit, and sometimes he pulls it off. But
you could argue he's been playing the same character for the last 20 years.
But there's in all of their work, there are these little, for Pacino, take away Scent of a Woman. Okay, take that movie away, because that's where most people's mind go when I say this. There's these little movies that didn't get a ton of attention. They're not known for these movies, but they were really good in them, and they were playing against type. For Jack Nicholson, it's About Schmidt. and As Good as It Gets. Because he neither character was he playing like the Witches of Eastwick devil or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the typical Jack Nicholson role.
But As Good as It Gets, he played an asshole though. I didn't see that as much of a stretch.
I think he was great in it. I love that movie. I loved his performance in it. He may have dug a little deeper, but it really didn't seem like a different character.
Now, De Niro, to me, the one that the two movies that stick out to me is Awakenings and A Bronx Tale. A Bronx Tale especially, because essentially you would think Robert De Niro in a movie about 1950s, 60s gangsters in New York, that's his wheelhouse, but he played completely against type by playing the father bus driver who was, basically fighting for his son's soul against the neighborhood gangster. And he had to it's funny because you see De Niro in Chaz Palminteri's scenes and De Niro's like, I respect you, but I'm going to ask you politely to leave my son alone. And it's like, you're Robert De Niro. Stomp this mother, cue up Aquarius by Donovan and stomp this motherfucker out like Billy Bats. You know what I'm saying? What do you do? Don't suck up to Chaz Palminteri. But he pulled it off. He did come off as like a father who just cared about his kid, and he was like, I know that ultimately the only thing I can do is say, please leave my kid alone, because in the end, this motherfucker could kill me and drop me in a fucking trunk, and that'd be the end of it. And in Awakenings, I've never even seen him play a character like that before or since. That was completely out of left field for me. But then, I don't know. Then you watch Deer Hunter, and if you watch that scene in Deer Hunter where they're playing Russian roulette over there in Vietnam, to me, that's some of the best acting I've ever seen, because when he's laughing and he's like, yeah, keep loading the gun, and you can see what he's thinking, and you can see the hatred on his face, I hate you fucker, I'm gonna fucking kill you fuckers, and they don't know what he's saying, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you so fucking bad. I was watching that holy shit, I believe that. That's how a human being who's pushed to the limit would act in that situation.
I'm by no means saying that these guys don't deserve any of the credit that they get or that they're poor actors. I just don't know that I think there's other people that are better actors, but everyone I guess has a different definition of what that means. To me, a better actor is the guy who can, play any role. That's the more talented actor. The person who pops up in a movie and you don't even realize that you've seen him before until they're talking for 5 minutes. You're like, holy fuck, it's that guy.
Well, I mean, there's
managed to just with expressions and the way that they use their body and their cadence and everything create whole new characters.
Yeah, I mean that's rare air guys that's like Daniel Day-Lewis type guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Those guys disappear into the character to where you don't even see Daniel Day-Lewis. You see the character they're playing. That's it. I'm not a big fan of the Lincoln movie, but when I watched it, I wasn't thinking, oh, there's Daniel Day-Lewis doing Lincoln. No, it was like, okay, there's Lincoln. It's kind of the same thing with Gary Oldman. When he puts himself into a character, I don't think of, when I watch, oh shit, what's that movie from, where Dennis Hopper is in it? And and Christopher Walken, where Christopher Walken kills that famous scene. Oh shit, what is that? True Romance.
True. Oh.
When he's playing that gangster, I've shown that movie to people, and the whole
White
thing,
Boy Day.
It ain't White Boy Day. They see and then Samuel L. Jackson comes in, hey, you eat pussy? Shit, I eat pussy, ass, toes. I eat the whole motherfucking thing. It's just, they're just they're chewing the scenery. But I've shown that scene to friends, that movie to friends after his scenes are done. I'm like, who was that? And they're like, I have no idea. I was like, that's Gary Oldman.
Literally. I loved Gary Oldman. Around the time that movie came out, I was already a major fan of him. Going all the way back to fucking Sid and Nancy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I loved True Romance. I had seen that. That was like my favorite movie at the time. I watched it over and over again. And I had to have a friend tell me that was Gary Oldman. I was like, no, get out. And I had to go watch it again.
And then you watch it and you're like, that's fucking Gary Oldman. Yeah, it is a great movie, though. And another, who wrote it, right?
Oh, yeah, it's Tarantino.
Yeah. That was,
I mean, I didn't know at the time. Like years later, everyone was raving about Reservoir Dogs. I remember watching that movie and loving it, and by that time I was like, "Who is this guy making these movies?" And I was super excited to when Pulp Fiction came out. I was there opening weekend to see that. But yeah, at the time I had no idea that Quentin Tarantino had written that movie.
Yeah, there was like
and it's brilliantly written.
There was like a few, I think 2 or 3 movies between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction that his script sold and other people directed it. One being Natural Born Killers, the other being True Romance, and I forget the third one. But there's looking back on it, once I knew that and I watched it, I was like, that makes that Christopher Walken, Dennis Hopper scene make sense, because it seems like Tarantino loves that dialogue-heavy, tension-building scene, and it seems like there's almost one in every movie of his. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like if you're just watching it, you're like, it's 2 people talking. What's the big deal? It's like, no, there's a lot going on underneath the surface. It's like a duck. It looks calm up top, but his feet are pedaling like a motherfucker underneath. Trust me. Wait.
That's why, honestly, Jackie Brown is my favorite Tarantino film.
Because right there with you.
Because it is so calm, and when shit does go down, it's like a little speed bump, and then shit goes right back to normal. You know? He shoots that little surfer girl in the parking lot, and he walks into the department store, and there's nothing. There's like not even a reaction, like it goes down like you think shit would go down in real life. It happens quick, and before everyone knows what to do about it.
Yeah, and it's got, I think, one of my favorite Samuel L. Jackson performances.
Oh, yeah.
When he thinks Jackie sold him out after she first gets arrested, goes to her house, and he keeps cutting the light off, and she keeps cutting it back on. He cuts it off, and he goes, is that a gun against my dick? Get your hands from around my neck, motherfucker. I was like, damn.
And then he's so wounded.
He's like, damn, Jackie, I'm just playing with you. What's wrong with you? Like, bitch, you're gonna kill her. What the fuck? Oh, that's such a great movie, man. It's got a great cast, too. Michael Keaton's in that.
Yeah.
And that's an Elmore Leonard novel. And it was adapted from it. And Michael Keaton actually played, I think, in Out of Sight. He played the same character.
Same character.
Yeah.
Yep. Another good movie.
All right, well, we definitely got away from we start off with abortion, we end on Michael Keaton.
That's what I'm saying. What range, what podcast do you listen to that is going to do that? You start with the Alabama abortion law, you end on Michael Keaton. Only this one. All right? We got range, people. And I don't know what the fuck happened. We got like a week's worth of downloads in one day today, so great. Welcome, new listeners. Thanks if you liked it. Come back every week. We post shows on Saturday. Old listeners, we didn't forget about you. Thanks for hanging in there. And yeah, we're on Twitter at @RegimenedPod. You can email us on regimented@christopherbeanie.net. Check us out. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker. We're everywhere. Anywhere you get your podcast. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later, guys.
unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Oh no, a car on the footpath. Ah. Ow! My face! You can make a difference. Keep the footpaths clear. Make life a little easier for people with sight loss. Brought to you by NCBI, working for people with sight loss. Hashtag clear our paths. Visit ncbi.ie.
This May, see Disney's Aladdin on the big screen.
Showtime.
Take a ride, make a wish, and feel the magic like never before. Starring Will Smith as the genie.
Here's the basics. Step 1, rub the lamp. Step 2, say what you want. Step 3, there is no step 3.
Watch out! You done wound me up. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Disney's Aladdin, in cinemas May 22nd.
And the crowd goes wild.
IFCO BG.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Hot flashes, irritability, intimate dryness, even unsatisfying sex. Hi, I'm Dr. Alyssa Dweck, a board-certified OBGYN who has spent over 20 years helping women just like you safely find relief from these very natural symptoms without having to resort to hormones. To help my patients feel their best, I recommend products from Bonafide Health. Bonafide is a women's health company dedicated to providing women with non-hormonal and clinically validated products that work. Bonafide provides safe and effective solutions to manage a range of menopausal, sexual health, and PMS-related symptoms. That's why I recommend Bonafide products to my patients every day. In fact, I am also a Bonafide medical advisor. What I like most is that Bonafide products provide women real relief without compromise. Ladies, don't waste another minute feeling less than your best. Go to HelloBonafide.com and use code Radio39 to save 20%. That's HelloBonafide.com and code Radio39.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Offer valid on subscription only.
When you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor, you get someone who understands there's an art to listening and can provide small business solutions that make you feel truly heard. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.